Adding a flag to your map is a very quick and easy way to spice up your visuals. I'm going to break down how I like to do this in my map animations. So I've Googled the Bhutan flag here, and the first thing that comes up is a Wikipedia page. If you click on this, you'll find an image of the flag here. So I found that no matter what flag I'm searching for, I always find it on Wikipedia, and it's always available in two different formats. They always have a raster and a vector version. More specifically, it'll be like an SVG file and PNG file options as well. So if you just click right on the image, it brings you here, and if you click on the More Details button, this will show you all the different formats here. You have different resolutions. These will all download as a PNG. But what I do is I go click on Original File, which as you can see here, this is the SVG version. Now simply right click on it and go Save As. This will save out as an SVG. Now unfortunately, SVG will not import directly into Adobe After Effects. I don't know why that is. If you happen to know, please leave it in the comments section. Seems very bizarre that that doesn't work. So all you have to do is open this up inside of Adobe Illustrator, should automatically open, and then simply save it back out as an AI file. So you can do Save As, and under the drop-down menu here, just select Adobe Illustrator and then Save, and now I'm ready to go. This will directly import into Adobe After Effects. I also have this plugin called Overlord right here, and if you know what Overlord's all about, it essentially allows you to send layers in Illustrator straight over to After Effects as shape layers. It's incredibly cool. I'll leave an affiliate link down to it in the video description if you want to check it out. But I want to show you the free method for this specific tutorial. This is going to be a plugin free tutorial. Now I'm going to go grab the Adobe Illustrator file, drag it and drop it directly over here, and import kind footage, merge layers is perfectly fine. I'll just leave it like that. And now I'll drag it and drop it directly in my composition. And now it's a little weird aspect ratio. I think this is like a 3:2 aspect ratio. I'm going to right click and go transform, fit to comp height. That's perfectly fine. And now what I want to do is I want to turn this into a shape layer. So all you got to do is right click on it and go to create shapes from a vector layer. I'm going to click on this, and now you'll see after a couple of seconds here, I have a new shape layer. Now that this is a shape, if you open this up and open up contents, you'll see you have all of these particular shape groups. So what this is going to allow me to do is isolate any individual element I want on this flag and then basically animate and composite it however I want. So in this particular example, I just want to keep it simple. Let's say I just want to have a little bit of movement, like maybe say there's like a wind blowing by, and then maybe give the dragon just a little bit of have its head moving, maybe just something quite simple. So what I want to do is split these elements out into individual layers. So I want to pull out the background here. I want to isolate the orange and the yellow on its own layer, and then I want to isolate the end of the tail here. Let's just say, to keep this tutorial not too long, I'm just going to add a little bit of waviness to the little tail here. So to find this, I'm just going to zoom in here, and I will double click on this, and there we can see I have this little tail piece, and if I scroll down, it should show me which one's highlighted. Okay, so it's 58. And if I turn off the visibility here, you're gonna see it's actually attached to a few other elements. I just want this last piece. So I'm gonna duplicate this shape group, and it's gonna rename it 72. So if I click enter, I just wanna name it 58A. Come back to the original. Let's turn that one off and open up this new one. And we can see 3 different paths here. So I just wanna turn off the paths that are not. Okay, so now I have this one really isolated, and I'll come over here to 58, and I'll essentially do the opposite. And you can even hit enter and call this one tail. And you know what? I'm going to keep this super simple. I'm only going to break it into 3 different layers. We'll have one layer for this tail element we just isolated, then we'll have the rest of the body, then we'll have these background colors. So for the background colors, these actually happen to be these last 2 shape groups right here. If I toggle these off, you can see that's what this is. So I can just rename these background real quick. And now I'm going to turn off background, and I'm going to turn off tail for this particular layer. So this will just be the body layer. So I'll rename it. We'll call it body. And now I'm going to duplicate the layer, Control or Command D, and we'll call this one tail. Now for this one, all you got to do is open this back up and simply turn off the visibility of all layers. except for tail. So just grab everything, turn it off, and then we have tail right here. There we go. Grab the tail, bring it underneath, duplicate again, and then we'll call this one background. Turn the visibility of tail off, and now we have our background. Okay, so now we've got these 3 different layers. Now that I've got these layers isolated, I can start to add effects to some of them. So I'll go to the window and open up effects and presets panel, and then just search for this effect right here, wave warp. And I'm gonna drop this onto the tail. And if we zoom in here, you'll see right away, the tail starts to warp out. And if I play this back, we'll see what we've got going on here. Okay, so this isn't very good. It's kind of like waving in the wrong direction. And the wave height and width are just not right. So we can come over here and start to tweak these settings. First, I want to pin it to the center. And then I want to change the direction. If it's coming from the center, we want it to be going this way. So now if you play this back, this should look a little bit better. Okay, now the wave is going in the right direction. And now I will just start to play with this. Maybe we'll bring this down to 4. The wave height and then the wave width, we can crank this up. Just make it a little more subtle to match the actual. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. Now this is a sine wave type. I think it's pronounced sine. And if you look at the wave speed, that says 1, and I'm pretty sure that means 1 second. And a sine is basically, you know, a changing value that kind of like oscillates. So if you actually, I can check it right now. So here I'm at 0, and if I just type in 1, this wave shouldn't move at all. So if I punch in 1, okay, the wave didn't move at all. So I know that as long as I have my work area, if I export this and it's perfectly in increments or it's divisible by 1 second, so I have it right at the 1 second mark, this animation is going to loop as long as I don't change the speed. So I have the work area set to 4 seconds, so this thing will loop endlessly, which is great. I want this whole animation to just be a nice little loop. All right, next, I want to animate the dragon's head and have it move a little bit, maybe like kick back and then dip back down. So for this, I'm first going to pre-comp the tail and the body by grabbing both and doing Controller Command Shift C, and I'll call this dragon, move all the attributes into the new composition. That's great. Click OK. So now I have this new pre-comp. What I'm going to do here is use the puppet tool to kind of manipulate the head of the dragon. So up here you have your mesh. So as you start to add these puppet pins, you have these different parameters here. You can change these once the puppet pins are added, so don't worry. What I'm going to do here is just start to add some puppet pins. I'm going to add one right here to the head, and this is what I want to kind of manipulate. I'll have one down here, and then just kind of at like key positions on the body so that it doesn't move too much. Just want the head moving. Now if I come back over here and I start to grab this top pin here and I start to move it around, you'll notice that the arm moves with the head. And let's say I don't want that. I just want the head to move around. So this has to do with the mesh being connected. So if I undo here, the mesh is really wide here, and you can control this with the expansion parameter. So you come down here in the timeline, you don't mess with this expansion up here, and you go down here and you'll notice you have density and expansion. And as I grab the expansion, you have to bring it way down, all the way down to 3, and that makes it really tight to the edges. And now these are separated, so I can come back up here, and now as I grab this, you'll notice that the head moves separate, which is super duper cool. Now also be aware that if you're messing around with like wave warp and moving things around and then you pre-comp it and your expansion isn't very large, you can start to get some weird clipping effects on some of these layers. So just be aware of that. Okay, now I want to animate this real quick. I don't want to like manually keyframe a bunch of stuff and yada yada. I want to make this quick. This is all about speed and just adding some movement to spice up your visual. It's not all about like super duper duper high quality, high detail. We just want to add a little bit of something here. Ideally, you could spend like 10 to 15 minutes on this just to quickly add a flag, add some movements, and make it look nice. So to quickly animate this, the puppet tool has something really cool. As I drag the cursor over, like this is just a selection tool. As I drag it over this puppet pin here and hold the control key, actually no, if I click it and hold the control key, no, I have to have the puppet pin selected. As I hold the control key now, you'll see that the symbology changes to this clock. So what that means is if you hold the control key as you move the pin, it's going to automatically record keyframes and record that movement. So if I move my playhead to the beginning, now I hold control and I start to move this around, you'll notice that I can see the outline here, and just want to move the head back and then have it come back down. There we go. Now as I release, you'll see all these keyframes here. I'm going to hit the U key a couple of times so I can bring that back and see those. And if I just play this back, now we have a quick little animation. And it's actually much too quick. This is over the course of like 2 seconds. So I'm going to grab all of these, hold Alt, and then just drag these out. Now to make this loop, it's really easy. I just grab the first keyframe, copy it, go to the end. I'm going to delete this last keyframe, and then go like 1 frame out and then paste it. And for this last, and to smooth all this out, I'll just grab them all, hold control, click them. That's going to ease all of them. And then we want to ease in the last keyframe and ease out the first keyframe. And now let's just quickly see what this looks like. Maybe we should have a loop now. Now, if you're really cool, you could like animate some fire shooting out of its mouth. And if you really want to spend some time on this, what I would do is I would add the wave warp effect to all of these little pieces on his body. There's a lot of pieces here, like his little mustache and all this other stuff. And you can even animate his fingers with the puppet tool. And yeah, that's awesome. Now it loops. This tail loops and the head loops. All right, actually now let's say I'm going to bring this into a GeoLayers like map animation project, and I want to bring it in there and just have it loop. And my animation is going to be like under 30 seconds. So I want to prep this to make sure that it loops properly. So first I'm going to change the comp settings of this particular comp and just make it 30 seconds in length. And remember, to have it loop, we just need it to be divisible by those seconds here. And I'm going to grab these layers and extend them out. And actually I can't extend the pre-comp out. That's because the pre-comp is actually 10 seconds in length. So before I jump into the pre-comp, I'm going to hit U, and I'm going to come down here to this puppet pin and alt click and then add a loop out expression. And now this will just infinitely loop. And this is the dragon head bob. Okay, that's looping. Now we're going to jump into the dragon pre-comp, and I'll open up composition settings for this comp and do the same thing. Change it to 30 seconds and extend everything out. All these layers here. There we go. And then for the last step, I just got to jump back over here and extend the pre-comp clip out this way. And now we should be ready to go. Let's see if our wave warp, actually, is our wave warp looping? Oh, we don't need to loop the wave warp because of sine. The power of sine, yes. So when I'm not busy producing videos for this YouTube channel, I am working full-time at a company called Felt. This is an amazing group of people that are working on a browser-based mapping application that's powerful enough for GIS pros to use and easy enough for everyone else. It's really cool. I'm working on producing content for their YouTube channel, and we're actually right now working on a series called The Fundamentals of GIS. So if you ever wanted to learn more about GIS and cartography, I urge you to go check it out. My super cool urban planner colleague, Juan Pablo, wrote the scripts, and I've been producing the videos. And if you want to go check them out, head over to our YouTube channel at Felt Maps, and don't forget to subscribe. So now I'm going to open up the GeoLayers panel, go to Window Extensions if you have GeoLayers. If not, sucks to be you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a map comp, and then I'm going to draw out the country of Bhutan. I'm going to draw out just like a shape layer, and I'm going to use that as a mat to then create a little bit of a visual here to like put the flag colors inside of it and just create a little bit of a cool project here. So I'm going to just click create map comp, and we'll call it Bhutan. Make sure it's the same. We'll make this 30 seconds in length and 25 frames per second, actually. Good resolution. And then we'll just go with the standard satellite imagery, I guess. I don't know. Now we go to keyword search, and we just do a search for Bhutan. And then with the country here, we're going to download or add it to the browser. And then we simply need to grab any kind of fill color because we're going to use this as a mat. And now make sure our settings are correct, and we'll draw it right here. And now we have Bhutan, and now to like frame up perfectly on that, we just double click it and maybe zoom out just by one level here, hold control, click on finalize, so we have some nice crispy imagery. Oh, okay, we need to redraw it because it drew it at that zoom level. Okay, so delete it and we'll draw it again because it drew the features at like that super zoomed out level and just ew. Now I'm gonna go back to flag animation comp and I'll simply copy these two and then paste them over here. And I think maybe what I want to play around with is I want to put the colors of the flag in the country shape and then have the dragon a little bit overlapped. So for this mat, I'm just going to put the flag colors in it. So we'll toggle switches and modes. And then under track mat here, you grab the pick whip and you select Bhutan, and then that will alpha mat it out. So again, this is an alpha mat. If you want a luma mat, you can toggle this. And for the dragon, we will actually for the flag, we'll scale it down. We want to scale it and make sure, you know, it's like at a good size here. And then once it's at a good size and you're happy with it, go ahead and parent it to the map comp anchor, toggle this back and turn on 3D. And now we'll toggle this back to this. And we're going to focus on the dragon now. We want the dragon to be just a little bit larger than the country shape. Maybe something like this maybe. And now I will also connect this one, connect it. Okay, so there you have it. Now, as I said, that took, you know, just over like 15 minutes to crank that out. And now if I spend a little bit more time on tweaking the details, this is just a really fun way to, as I said, spice up your visuals of your map. I've done it once before. I did it in a Johnny Harris project years ago with, I think it was the country of Zaire. That was the first time I really played around with this, and then there's just so many cool flags out there that you can animate and incorporate in a lot of fun ways. So I suggest you go do this. And if you do it, let me know, share a link, show me what you'd create, tag me on socials, whatever you got to do. I want to see it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, share it with your friends. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel, hit those notification bells. And if you are a hardcore map nerd and you want to really up your game, follow the links in the video description to my Patreon and my GeoLayers 3 masterclass. Also, I mentioned earlier that I put together this felt map of, I was just having fun experimenting with some new features of felt, and I put together the flags of the 50 United States, and it's essentially where you hover your cursor over, you can see the flag for each state. And I think I want to expand it to do like all of the countries of the world. If you want to, I'll link to that map down in the video description. So if you want to go click on that and leave a comment and let me know like which country I should throw in there, that would be cool. Just hit the C key and then you can leave a comment. Boy, I'm rambling today, but I don't care. I'm embracing the rambling. All right, see you in the next one.